Welcome to Dr. Jester Talks, and I'm gonna talk about the consequences of fucking around and finding out. Right, Mr. Putin?
Yeah. Remember when he said, "Oh God, guys, this invasion, it's because NATO is encroaching on our system, and it's the only way to deal with is by invading and killing people."
Well, there you go from The Guardian, but this thing is available everywhere with practically the same thing written, so there's not much to care about. Sweden and Finland agreed to submit NATO applications, say report. Two countries could apply for membership simultaneously as soon as mid-May, according to reports. It was said that it was going to be at the end of May, but they kind of rushed it 2 weeks earlier. So now it's May 13-ish, thereabouts, when they are going to submit the report. Sweden said that they were going to apply after Finland, that Finland should apply first, but those countries are pretty much like brothers and sisters in this case, with a very, very hot Prime Minister. Right. Anyway, before my girlfriend kills me, I need to go on. Anyway, this shows that Putin went on and said,
Guys, I'm going to invade Ukraine and other things because NATO is encroaching on my borders.
Well, you fucking retarded bullshit. If you had waited, I don't know, a decade, or give or take, or maybe slightly longer, NATO would be practically gone, because a lot of countries were not paying their membership dues. They were Jesus Christ, downsizing their military. England, for instance, now is just a shadow of its former self. Their Air Force, their RAF, the classic, the proud RAF, the Royal Air Force. It's just a shadow from what it once were in quantity of equipment and things like that. The Navy, the British Navy, is pretty much in shambles right now. What it once were. Even in the 80s, the British Navy was getting downsized and all things like that, and Falkland War happened. Kind of put a stop a little bit into that, but still, it showed how bad. If you compare to the Navy of Britain, with a we are not going to compare technological levels, but still, if we compare this British Navy in the 70s from the British Navy today, it's just a shadow of itself. Putin could have had all he wanted. NATO dissolved and things like that. Heck, even Germany was downsizing their own air force. But no, not anymore. With the invasion of Ukraine, it showed to these countries that NATO is more needed than ever before. And now they are going to invest a lot more in equipment. So much so that, albeit I suspect that decision was pretty much just stated to be going public in March, but still, Canada chose the F-35 after starting with the program, then ditching the program, then having a very retarded Prime Minister, when he's like,
"Oh God, the F-35 is such a lame duck. I'm out."
And now choosing the F-35 again. It just shows Finland choosing the F-35 last year, but albeit we started seeing the build-up of the army of Russia in Ukraine borders more or less last year. Either way, it shows that it's having the opposite effect of what Putin wanted. After all, it's not NATO that chooses the countries, it's the countries that chooses NATO. They submit the membership, not the other way around. But then again, don't let Russian propaganda ruin the facts. No, don't let the facts ruin the Russian propaganda, because the Russian propaganda says it's the opposite. Russian propaganda says NATO is an aggressor, when in fact it's not. Spoiler alert. Right? Anyway, let's just read the article and I'm gonna go then and thereabouts without the more context. Sweden and Finland have agreed to submit simultaneously membership application to the US-led NATO alliance as early as middle of the next month. Nordic media have reported. The Finnish daily said on Monday that Stockholm had suggested that two countries indicate their willingness to join on the same day, and that Helsinki had agreed as long as the Swedish government has made its decision. So, you know, they are pretty codependent. The Swedish newspaper Expressen cited the government sources as confirming the report. The two countries' prime ministers said this Monday were deliberating the question, arguing Russia's invasion of Ukraine has changed Europe's whole security landscape and, quote, dramatically shaped mindsets, and, quote, in the Nordic regions. Finland's prime minister, Sanna Marin, giggity, said that her country, which shares a 1,300 kilometers, 810 miles, border with Russia, will decide whether to apply to join the alliance quite fast, in weeks, not months, despite the risk of infuriating Moscow. Moscow can go suck a cow! His Swedish counterpart, Magdalena Andersson, said she's not much of a looker, since Sweden had to be prepared for all kinds of actions from Russia, and then everything had changed when Moscow attacked Ukraine. Russia has repeatedly warned both countries against the move. Kremlin said it would be forced to restore military balance by strengthening its defenses in the Baltic. Oh yeah, I forgot there's Kaliningrad, the Russian enclave in the Baltic. Maybe they got too cheeking from when the USSR dissolved to ask for independence. Well, they could have been a civilized country by now, but they chose not to. Right, where was I? Oh, right. By strengthening its defense in the Baltic, including by deploying nuclear weapons if the two countries decided to abandon decades of military non-alignment by joining NATO. Well, it doesn't change the fact because there's already nuclear bombs in Kaliningrad. They even upgraded the nuclear facilities a couple of years ago to store even more weapons. Nuclear weapons in there. Sweden Foreign Minister Ann Linde said last week a wide-ranging security policy review would be concluded by 13th rather than 31st of May as originally planned, adding that Finland's analysis already published there is now a lot of pressure. Expressen said simultaneous application could be submitted in the week of 16th of May as coinciding with the state visit to Stockholm by Finnish President Sauli Niinisto. The Guardian could not independently confirm the reports. Recent opinion polls have shown as many as 68% of the Finns are in favor of joining the alliance. I would be too if I were to Finnish. If I were to Finnish. Unfortunate name there. More than double the figure before the invasion, with only 12% against. Polling in Sweden suggests a slim majority of Swedes also backed membership. Both countries are officially non-aligned militarily, but became NATO partners, taking part in exercise and exchanging intelligence after abandoning their previous stance of strict neutrality when they joined the EU in 1995 after the end of Cold War. Right. So, this is not much of a surprise because Sweden already had massive scares in the past with Russian nuclear submarines in their goddamn fucking waters in which their ships had to actually go and hunt it out. But those were a couple of years ago. And in March, again, when Russia invaded the airspace of Sweden by flying over Gotland. And now we have a bunch of retarded, nonsensical idiocy from Putiniska, from Mr. Bitch. Why actually doing this? From MSN. Right. Thank you. Well, at least it's... fuck's sake, I actually doxed myself. Going to have to edit this goddamn fucking video. I'll put it to render. Alright. Better use this one then. From Mail. Putin's warning for the West, Vladimir vows consequences for those who interfere in Ukraine as he threatens create waves of migrants in Europe after missile system is moved towards Finland amid NATO role. Before I do something retarded, then let's move on. Right. Here it is, images of the 2 Russian vehicles, heavy vehicles and missile launch systems being moved to the Finnish border after this one in March. Oh, no, wait, was this in April? I think it's April. I think a couple of weeks ago, so if I'm not wrong. Well, either way. Right. The Finnish army, there are some pro-Russian idiots who insist that the Finnish army is not that great. Well, I beg to differ. This one are the vehicles for the Finnish army, so very capable and upgraded Leopard tanks from Germany, 100 of which, 200, by the end of 2019. And equipped with Israeli-made Earthen mine rollers for control system upgraded between 2022. So basically very capable and very good. And this one is because when Finland tried to be as neutral as possible during the Cold War, so they actually imported and built some, modernized the Finnish BMT, so he modernized with the Finnish system, but there you go. Right, now let's go to the Finnish Air Force. Like I said, they just recently chose the F-35, which is 64 on order, which is even more than the F-18C that they had in service, which is 55. The F-35 is an incredible airplane. It's a plane like no other out in the market. They even have a helmet-mounted system that allows you to see through the plane and using thermal imaging. So you can actually see very far and very well. Anyway, now for Sweden, they have the very, very spunky and very, very cute and capable Gripen, which is an F-16, a Swedish F-16, if you allow me to say it, but a bit more modern if you compare it with the earlier versions of the F-16. But the newer versions of F-16, the Block 70, for instance, are very modern, very, very good. And the Indian version that they were selling to India were even having some of the F-35 equipment on the F-16, so that's a very good. Either way, this is the Gripen, the Jazz 39. It's the Swedish F-16. It has a lot of American and British parts in it. So it's a very, very good plane, and overall, very good Air Force. But still, Russia has a lot of equipment. Stalin said, what was it, Lenin? That quantity has a quality on its own. Oh, thereabouts. So they have a lot of this garbage over here. Their premier fighter, which is the Su-35, which is an upgraded version of the Su-27. Created in the late 70s and early 80s. It's their best fighter currently, even their modern plane. There's the Fallon, the Su-57 is still like garbage, still not in production, and still, well, India lost interest with it and said, go fuck yourself, Russia. But anyway, the war in Ukraine has shown that this airplane is not as good as they told us, or not as good as the Russian propaganda idiots tell us. In other words, it's garbage. But still, if you have like one Gripen and 5 of these idiots, you may run into problems. Despite the Gripen still winning that confrontation because the pilots still better trained with better equipment, but still would make you Now, if you put in 10, 7 of those on top of it, yeah, that would be a problem. The same thing goes for the Eurofighter and the other planes, except the F-35. That one is good. That one could probably take care of it by going right behind it because it's a stealth airplane. Anyway, I want to highlight this because look at the size of the border with Russia. Look at this. See? Heck, I think even Norway borders with the goddamn fucking Russia. Not even realized that before. Either way, as you can actually see, this is the problem with Finland. Finland is definitely terrified of Russia because of what they did. And Russia is a nuclear powerhouse. And they will probably go really, really hard on Ukraine as soon as they see that they are not going to be able to save face on their invasion. Or even worse, if they actually go and fight a country like Finland. And they have shown interest in invading Finland a lot in the past. And Finland is way more capable than Ukraine because their weapons are better. You're going to see some very bad shit going around. So yes, my position is, go fuck yourself, Russia. Go fuck everything you stand for, Russia. Go suck a cock. And go NATO. And Finland and Sweden. Go on. Anyway, and then goddamn fucking hell, because now I have to edit this goddamn fucking video. Have a great fucking night.